Well, thank you very much, and welcome once again to Where Are They Now? And as we've been previewing, promised here in the last couple hours, Mike Boynton. I don't know exactly where he is, but I'm sure he's working wherever he is. He's joining us here on the show. Glad to have you with us here right after that game last night. Let's get right to it. 5 games in, they don't make a whole season, but what do you know now that you didn't know when the team lined up against UTA?
One thing I think is a pretty well settled conversation is we have real depth. We've got a lot of athleticism, and we've got some really competitive guys on the defensive end. And that depth comes in the form of a couple of young guys, and Matthew Alexander Moncrief and Rondell Walker are both freshmen, but also with Bryce Williams, who's a transfer from Ole Miss. And then obviously we got some continuity with Ice, Avery and Chris, and the twins. Then obviously a lot of the talk about Cade. Like, there's no question that the hype was well deserved, that he's a terrific player, and that he's going to be somebody that we're going to have a good time coaching and watching develop over this rest of the season.
I asked you this question at practice, I think, last week. Where is Cade right now in the development? And obviously he's going to be better as the games go on, but right now, where is he?
He's a freshman who's played 5 college basketball games, exactly where he is. He's a really talented freshman who is light years ahead in terms of his understanding of the game, his pace of play. But still, he's got a lot to learn about college basketball. He's got a lot to learn about his teammates, about where to pick his spots. He did a pretty good job last night of understanding how to close a game. But he's got a lot of room to grow, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this process with him.
It's amazing at his age that he understands. I mean, it's not like you're sitting over there with the coaching staff with a time clock and saying, all right, you need to take the game over. He knows exactly when to do that, and he's done it here several times this year. Yeah.
I mean, he's, last night was obviously the most obvious example. We got a close game late. We're trying to get some separation there, and we need him to make baskets. And even though naturally he's much more of a pass-first guy, he knew when we needed him to go be more aggressive, looking to get his own shot late in the game, and he made some big ones for us.
You mentioned closer, and in my mind, you got a couple. I would hate to be playing you guys and be 6 points down with 5 minutes to play, because I'm going to get a steady diet of Ice and Cunningham handling the basketball.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, I've not been a head coach for a long time, and so I'm sure there's a lot that I need to learn. But one thing I do know is, at the end of the game, you put the ball in the hands of your best player and let them use their talent to put you in position to win. And obviously a lot has been made of Cade and his ability to be a playmaker for others. But there's no question in my mind, our leader is Ice Likely.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who sets the tone for us on the defensive end. He's going to draw the assignment of the other team's best player almost every night, and he's going to fill up the stat sheet. He's a tremendous rebounder. He's great in transition offensively. He can post up against smaller guards, and he's got an improved jump shot as well this year.
It's an overused word sometimes, I think, in sports, but what has the chemistry been like with this team? It's not exactly like some of these guys didn't know each other before they got here. I mean, they did. But overall, how is it mixed and matched so far?
We've still got a ways to go chemistry-wise. There's a lot of room to grow with this group. And it's just about getting some reps in game when it's on the line, when it really matters. Guys is kind of getting settled into where they're going to get shot opportunities, what they need to do in terms of communication on the defensive end. And so that's part of the reason I'm so excited, because we're 5-0, but we haven't played our best yet. And we've found ways to win, playing different styles. We've done it with zone, we've done it with man, we've done it offensively. We haven't made shots consistently yet, but I think that'll come as guys get more comfortable with where their shots are coming from on a game-by-game basis.
We know this year, especially with COVID, but it's true any year, you don't put any ceilings on these guys. And, yeah, they may be coming off the bench now, but who knows? 5 games they may be starting. But it appears that you got a nice combo with Walker and Bryce Williams coming off the bench and knowing what to do when they get in the game.
Yeah, those guys are really aggressive, competitive guys on the defensive end. They take a lot of pride in making sure that the guy they're guarding isn't the guy that's going to hurt us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get more guys buying into that mentality. Probably need to get 3 or 4 more guys who can buy into that mentality. Because as you know, well, once we get in the conference play, it's going to be about guarding and getting timely stops and rebounding the ball and then executing on offense late and making your free throws. It's not like we're going to be expected to go in and beat people by 20 and that the margins are going to be large. But when it comes right down to close games, it's about getting defensive stops, valuing the ball, and making free throws. And we've got those 2 guys who take pride in all 3 of those areas, and we need to get a few more.
Are you somewhat surprised? I mean, I don't know that you're surprised at all. Frankly, that's probably not the right word, but that these guys have fallen into these, for lack of a better word, role and accepted them right now?
No, I mean, you know, we spent 3 years trying to build the roster that we thought could play the style that we wanted to consistently. And it's manifested itself here early in the year that we do have a group right now that are totally brought into what we talk about every day, being unselfish, having some toughness about them, understanding that, you know, the sum of the parts, right? It takes everybody, and everybody's got to contribute in their own ways. So that role definition started taking place early in the fall, and it'll continue, and maybe guys' roles will evolve, but everybody understands that only one guy can shoot at a time, only one guy can handle it at a time, and we can only put 5 guys on the court at once.
Other than being a three-point artist, tell us what Flavors brings to that starting lineup.
Well, experience. He's been through a lot of basketball at the college level. He's had success from a shooting standpoint everywhere he's been. He understands how to prepare. He understands how to take care of his body. So they're intangible things you can't necessarily measure that won't show up on a stat sheet. Understanding how to pass up a good shot for a better one. Understanding that he has to bring value outside of making shots in terms of his defensive positioning, his focus there, and just being somebody that we can count on to help us, especially with so many young guys, understand what it takes to have success as a college basketball player.
There's no question a guy who's a highlight tape or highlight reel kind of guy every time he takes the floor seeming like is M.A., but what is his upside other than the fact he's super athletic and seems to know how to play the game?
M.A.'s got about as much upside as anybody on our team. He plays with such an aggressive, attacking mindset, particularly as it relates to being a rebounder. And he can drive the ball against bigger guys because he's got great quickness. He's usually going to be quicker than the guys that are guarding him. But he's also strong enough to guard them if they try to put him in the post on our defensive end. So I'm really thrilled about the fact that he's with us. He's a kid that I believe is going to continue to get better, and that his best basketball is going to be probably a year or 2 from now. But he's going to be able to do a lot of things to help this team win as well.
These guys we've talked about, I've seen you guys, so I know what you're going to say, but coachable? I mean, to the point where they listen to what's going on and they understand that it's your job to make them better?
Yeah, for the most part. Very coachable guy. I mean, do sometimes they not totally understand why we're being so hard on them? Yeah, I mean, that's natural. But as guys, again, get more comfortable with their roles within our team and understand how our success can manifest itself into individual accolades, I think that's something that will continue to improve as the season goes along.
The Boons have certainly shown that they have taken a step over last year. You probably want Keelan to be a little bit more consistent perhaps, and Caleb kind of came on when you guys pounded it down low in the second half, but their upside continues to be something else.
Yeah, I really, really like the future of where our program is going. I like the talent that we've been able to accumulate here. I love the fact that these guys enjoy competing against each other in practice every day, but even more importantly, with each other on game days. And again, it's something that we got a chance to really, really build off of as we move forward in the next few years in this program.
You like the overall competitiveness, I know, from top to bottom, and like you said, you probably wish there was some times during the game it was a little bit better X and O wise. But what's the area that, or two maybe, that still concern you the most?
Obviously, it's been alarming the amount of threes we've given up the last 2 games, particularly. But I do think we got a lot of potential defensively. The thing that I'm eager to see is how we evolve as an offensive team, because we showed the ability that we can have multiple guys lead us on any given night. You know, we've already had Keelan lead us in rebounds a few times. We haven't really had an explosion from Ice yet, which is something that we certainly know we're going to be able to count on as the season goes along. He's our most experienced guy. He's a guy who's been through the most with us. And so just the versatility of which we can score is something that I really look forward to seeing how it evolves over the season.
I'm not sure you're ever happy with the defense. I mean, that's what you do. But, you know, this three-point thing you were talking about, you know, is it an anomaly or 2 games back-to-back where you caught 2 guys who were red hot? Or as you move forward, this is going to be a point of emphasis, I think, from the teams that we play. You know, these guys can't defend the 3, so we better shoot a few.
No, I think one of the things is we got to have a better sense of urgency from start to finish. You know, this team, its youth exposes our lack of consistent focus. Mm-hmm. And both of the last 2 games, we've had, 9 or 10-point leads that disappear in like 2 or 3 possessions. Mm-hmm. Because we're not ready to put teams away yet when opportunities have presented themselves. And so we find ourselves going from maybe a 10-point lead to a 3 or 2-point lead in a couple possessions because we have a careless turnover and we give up 2 threes, and all of a sudden, here you go again, you got a ball game. Instead of extending that lead from 10 to 15 or 16 mm-hmm. and really giving yourself a chance to put them away or at least put them in a much more stressful situation, we've allowed those teams the last couple games to hang around. And a lot of it to their credit. It's one thing to get the shots. It's a whole other thing to make them. The reason I wasn't allowed to shoot a lot is because my coaches knew I wasn't going to make them. And so they didn't want to see a guy out there missing a bunch of shots when I played. But, those kids have continued to play with confidence from both Oakland and Oral Roberts and have given us a tough time. It's just something we've got to adjust to.
Would you agree that maybe we caught maybe glimpses of what this defense could be for a 5, 6, 7 minute period at the start of the start of the game last night and maybe the start of the second half? It looked good. For the first to the media timeout anyway, I think we were getting after people pretty good.
Yeah, I think we've definitely shown some flashes of defensive prowess, if you will. It just hasn't been consistent for 40 minutes yet. Mm-hmm. Even our best defensive performance of the year so far, which I'd say was probably the Marquette game, mm-hmm. It was only after we were down 12-4 to start, and we weren't great for the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game. But for the last 30 to 35, we played as well as we played, and it's the reason we came out of there with a really, really strong and valuable road win. You're
not a zone guy, but you got to be feeling pretty good that you could go to the zone and make it work, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a guy who wants to win. I'm not married to a philosophy that doesn't help you win. So, my job is to help from game to game figure out what the best strategy. We have a zone that we can go to. It's something that we feel comfortable playing, and that certainly we've shown can be effective. So maybe we're morphing to being a little bit more of a zone team as the season goes along. I'm not sure, but we'll see.
I want to go back to Ice real quickly. He's a guy, in my opinion, he could score 7 or 8 points and still be the best player on the floor with all the other stuff he does, and he's not afraid to stick his nose in there and rebound.
No, he's a guy who again, he fills up the stat sheet. He can get 15 points, but he also a guy who can get 10 rebounds. He can get 7, 8 assists. He can get 3, 4, 5 steals. He can get a couple blocks. He's shooting the ball with confidence. He's making his free throws. And again, for all the talk about Cade, and deservedly so, and all talk about the young guys and M.A. and Rondell and how they played to start the season. Isaac Likely is our leader, and he's the guy that we need to help the other guys understand the sense of urgency you got to have, the competitive nature that the Big 12 presents once we start Big 12 play here soon, and that, he's going to be on the floor for us, a heavy dose of the minute.
What do you see from Wichita State? That's next up.
They're good. I still have memories of them kicking our butts here in Gallagher last year.
Yeah.
It's certainly something that I remind the guys who played in that game about. But they got the same toughness. They can shoot the ball. They got some pretty good inside presence. They're a good team. It's going to be a really, really tough battle for us going up there trying to figure out a way to win.
I don't know that it really crosses your mind that much, but road games, because they're don't have sellouts. They don't have, 5-figure attendance figures anymore, anywhere. Different approach, or It's never easy to win on the road, but I can't imagine, you don't have that 10,000 on top of you like you would.
Yeah, it's different. Still a different environment. You don't practice there every day. But at the end of the day, the game is the same. 94 by 50, goes 10 feet high, play 2 20-minute halves. The team that executes and has the most toughness, rebounds the best, and ultimately makes their open shots, takes care of the basketball, is going to win. So we've got to go up there with a mindset that we know won't be easy, but that we're certainly capable, because we've already shown that we are capable of going on the road on another team's court and finding a way to come out of there with a win.
Yep.
But there's no doubt we got our hands full going up to Wichita on Saturday.
Your players have adapted pretty well to this crazy 2020, haven't they? I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, they probably adapted better than I have, to be honest. I'm a guy who likes to be around people and visit and meet and all that stuff, and just, obviously not encouraged to do so this year. So we've got to continue to keep them in a positive frame of mind. They've done a good job of adapting, and as a staff, it's our job to make sure that we reward that with, great focus, preparation, and put these kids in position to have success, since they've sacrificed so much to be able to play.
How crazy is it to look at a court and see coaches spread from one side to the other in chairs and players behind there in chairs? I mean, I guess once you get used to it, you get on down the road, but it is strange looking.
Yeah, it's weird. It's certainly something different for this year. Hopefully it's only for this year, because it's not ideal. It's hard to communicate a little bit. Obviously, we wear a mask on top of that, so it's even, you feel like you're even further away. But, we understand why we're doing it. The virus is still alive and well. It's still very prevalent. It's still floating around everywhere. And certainly something we got to do everything we can to mitigate the spread of it within our team and within our group. And hopefully we can get through this season and get back to a little bit more normal situation next year.
How has it been to be on this selection committee for the new president?
That's an honor. I'm humbled that the board would ask me to participate in it. Assuming it's, if not the most important decision made by a university, certainly one of the top 2 or 3, or who's going to lead the whole institution. And so I'm humbled and honored. I'm glad that it's something new that I can learn from, that I can grow from, and certainly I can bring some value to the group.
It's got to be, like you said, an honor to be on that. And there are a bunch of people on that committee who are distinguished, to say the least. Yeah. No, it's a versatile, diverse group of people who all have a great interest in seeing the university succeed. Want to make sure we got great leadership in place, for first and foremost for the students on campus, for the faculty and staff who work to educate the kids, and for the people in the community, because this is a university that certainly has a great impact on what happens in Payne County and Stillwater and throughout the state of Oklahoma. Last thing before we cut you loose, appreciate you joining us here today. And you're not, you're guarded on what you can say or should say. I don't think you're going to say anything different than you already have. But your team is pretty much ignored. I don't know if that's the word. Just kind of processed what could happen with the NCAA appeal and all that. You don't sense that being a daily part of the conversation with the kids this year?
No, we don't talk about it, really, not in our locker room. Obviously, first of all, it's out of our control at this point. None of the kids who are in our program had anything to do with it, don't even know much about it. Mm-hmm. But they all decided they wanted to be here, even with the possible outcome that we won't be able to play. But in the meantime, what I want them to focus on is enjoying this. All right? We throughout this pandemic, learn to keep things in perspective and understand that we only can control what we can control. And that's what our guys have done, to their credit. We've been able to go out there and have success in each of the games that we played so far. And regardless of how the rest of this stuff comes out, we want that to be the focus. We want them to be on them enjoying this experience, going through it here. We want our fans to enjoy the opportunity to cheer on this team. It's one of my probably biggest disappointments is that in a year, right, where we've probably got as much excitement about our program as we've had in maybe a decade, not many of our fans can share in the enjoyment of watching these guys. But I know that they're with us. We got the best fan base, I believe, in the country. And even without a full crowd, Gallaudet Ives is a pretty cool place to watch a basketball game. How
crazy is it? We'll be opening up conference play in a week from today, I guess it is, as we speak.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm actually sitting here watching TCU in Providence right now. TCU is our first conference game TCU's already played 8 conference games, so it'll be their second one, already next week. So, again, it's just part of the differences in this year. A unique year, a year in which we got to continue to find ways to keep our kids safe, but also give them an opportunity from a mental health standpoint to do what they love and what they've sacrificed so much to be able to do.
I know how focused you stay, so I probably shouldn't even ask this question, but in general, your feelings maybe on the start of these Big 12 teams, and some have a lot of games, some don't, but you can imagine that it's going to be a tough journey no matter how many games have been played.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, the league is the best in the country. It's because we got 10 high-quality teams, and on any given night, you better bring your A game, because if you don't, I mean, it's not a very good chance you're going to win. If you don't play well, you're not winning in this conference. And if you play well, you just have a chance. So watching TCU now, got a chance, obviously, to see Kansas a few times, Tech. I think I've seen everybody in the league play. Baylor's probably as good as anybody in the whole country. Mm-hmm. West Virginia is big and physical, as they always are.
Texas has got a lot of guys. Yeah,
Texas is off to a great start. Coach Smart's doing a tremendous job with his group. And so, once league play starts, it's a fight every night. And you better be ready to come out and give everything you got, both physically and mentally. Otherwise, you got no chance.
All right, bud. We'll let you get back to TCU. I appreciate you taking the time today.
No problem. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
All right, bud. That is Mike Boynton, and he kind of gave us a little insight as to where this team is and where it still has to go. But I think one thing is certainly apparent to everybody. There's a lot of pieces to this puzzle that